Hey y'all, this is Ashlyn Craft, and you are listening to The Train Wreck That Is, the Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast with Aaron Shriver.
Welcome to the Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast with Aaron Shriver, brought to you by Arlo Revolution. Each week, Aaron connects melodies and memories with fans and artists from all genres of life. When all else in life is gone, only music will be left to leave the legacy of life's adventures. Please welcome your host for the Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast, Aaron Shriver.
What's up, everybody? How you guys doing tonight? It's been a fun one. All right, everything's looking good. It's gonna be a good night.
It's gonna be a good night. It's gonna be a good night.
I think you found your niche, man. And then you're going on vacation next week.
It only took me 8 weeks to figure it all out, but
all right, guys. It looks like everything's looking good. Everything's sounding good. If you're in the chat, drop where you guys are listening to tonight. Before we get started, just making sure everything's sounding good. Wait till you're caught up and the audio's on your end is looking good. You caught up?
It's all good. Yeah.
Nice. I love it when it works.
It's about 14 seconds behind in my right ear, but left ear is right on time.
That's what she said. All right, guys. So we're going to kick off. You ready? Just once again, we're going to throw a little disclaimer out there. This show is live. As you've seen in the last couple of weeks, we've had a few run-ins with Tommy Chong. We got kicked off a couple of times. We don't know what's going to happen. So go with the flow. If the feed ends, we'll be right back as quick as we can. All right. Ready?
It'll be fine. You'll love it.
Welcome to the Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast, a show that promotes inspiration and positivity while connecting melodies and memories with fans, artists, and a few interesting people in and around the music community that I've been lucky enough to meet. I got to change all that. I'm your host, Aaron Shriver. That's a mouthful to say. That's what she said.
That's going to be one of those kind of nights.
I got to get ready for this guy tonight.
Right.
That's why I got to get ready for him tonight. All right, guys, we are presented by our good friends, Arlo Revolution, cinematic wedding films, music videos, and promos. Find them at arlorevolution.com. On-screen sponsors tonight, Art on a Higher Wire by Joel, original and custom artwork inspired by your life moments, treasured photos, and memories. You can find her all over Facebook. And then last but not least, Corey Oliphant and the Original Church Choir. Just great to see them every week being supporters of this show. We thank all of our sponsors for the continued support and growth. If you are out there looking for ways to support the show, we talk about it every week, but our heart of the show is our Patreon. Tiers start at just $1. If you're looking to sponsor or advertise with us, you can do so with Patreon. We have room for 2 more on-screen sponsors. You can see your logos displayed live during the show or in our show notes every week. If Patreon is something you can't do, the best way to do it, to support the show is to like, share, review, and subscribe anywhere you can find it. Mainly being iPhone users, if you could drop the 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, it really helps us get back on the charts. We were like 150 again this week, so it was really cool to actually be in the top 200 on music interviews again. So I love doing that every week. But if you guys are listening to this back on Apple Podcasts or any other streaming podcast apps, make sure you tune in Tuesday nights with us live at 7 o'clock on Facebook and YouTube. You can interact with the show. Talk with the guests, ask some questions, just have fun with all of us. So it's always a good time. So, all right, last but not least, let's see if I got this pulled up. Yes. So every month we do have some little freebies we give away. This month is going to be some good ones. Let me get this off the screen real quick. There we go. So we got an Eric Church, make this one of these shirts, the Black Stage Tee. Just let me know your size if you're one of the winners, and we'll get that. And then we have an Ashlyn Craft package, T-shirt, koozie, and then an autograph show poster, which is a kind of a little add-on that we just added on a couple weeks ago. So if you guys are in our Patreon, good luck. Let's see, you reach that?
Here, just give it to me. I'll stir it up.
Pick a name out.
Pick a name?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Well, I got to. All right, there's that one. All right, name that I just grabbed is RJ Smith.
RJ, look at this guy. Congrats, former guest RJ Smith. I'll contact you. I'll reach out, man. But congratulations, man. Hope you're listening tonight. So let's see.
Oh, you should have had me on camera so that they could have made that. That could have been completely legal then. I don't want anybody thinking that we cheated them out on anything.
Well, they saw I handed the whole bowl over to you.
Right.
I'm sure it's
all right. It's legit. I swear.
All right, guys. So tonight we are welcomed. Actually, before I go into the introduction for this, tonight's show is one I've looked forward to for a while. Before I go into my formal introduction, I've been following Raised Rowdy and Nick for a while because we're fans. And one thing I love about this show that I continue to do is interviewing fans. And that's something I'm always going to do once a month. We're going to bring a fan on. So if you're listening to this and you have a cool concert story or interesting story just of being a fan of music, hit me up. I'd love to have you on my 4th season coming up. Because one of the things I think music, everything prides it on is fans, is all sorts. So yes, I love to interview more fans out there. So if you want to be on the show, reach out. I want to have you. All right. So tonight we welcome in Raised Rowdy founder Nick Tressler. Nick is one of the most dedicated, passionate around the music industry. His love for finding new music is a drive unlike anything I've ever seen. He's been inspirational to myself and to many others. I can't wait to see what he does next with Raised Rowdy. So we're gonna go ahead and bring Nick in right now. Ooh, it worked. Yes. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Dude, I have been looking forward to this. I know we've talked about having this for a while now, and just the whole thing. I know we got coming up next couple weeks. I got 3 amazing artists that are coming on, all picked by you, which is gonna be phenomenal. I cannot wait. But thank you for doing this month and coming on and really just bringing the 2 shows together. Because, dude, I mean, you're one of the reasons why I do this, because watching you and what you did was kind of motivational to others. But I'm glad to have you, dude.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah. As you said, I mean, the basis of what you're doing and what, we do is we're fans first, man. If it wasn't for amazing music and songs that really connect with you as a person, it's we wouldn't all be here.
Yeah, I hear you, man. So I want to rewind everything all the way back to your earliest memory of music, man. Like with your parents, around the house. I mean, how old were you and what were you listening to, man?
Man, gosh. So my house was a very eclectic mix of music. So I'm the youngest of 4 boys, grew up with my mom and dad in the house, and everybody had a little bit of different tastes. So I was grew up in a town called Connellsville, Pennsylvania, which is pretty much halfway between Pittsburgh and West Virginia. So I was probably a little bit closer to Morgantown, West Virginia, where WVU is, and then also, pretty close to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So growing up, my dad worked shift work. So at any time during the day, 8 hours different every week, we had he had 90s country music blaring to try to drown out 4 idiot boys making too much noise, So I had the country roots from my dad. He was a very avid country music fan. And then my brothers were more into like the rock music. So my brother Steve was in like the heavier rock.
Hell yeah.
And then my brother Sean was more into like maybe on the poppier leaning side of the rock. And then my mom was into old classic R&B, stuff that you'd hear on like the oldie stations now. That's what my mom would be listening to. And then my brother Chaz was 2 years older than me, and he was heavy into the grunge music. Nice. So that's the 90s, then even like 2000s rock. My brother that was older than me was into that. So of course I was too.
That's awesome. Yeah, man. So when were you born? What year? I'm kind of curious. I want to see where.
I was born 1982.
Dude,
so
same age then. That's why I thought.
Yeah. Yep. So 80s baby, 90s growing up.
What month were you?
March.
All right, I'm June. So yeah, you got me by a couple months. All right.
I got you beat. Yeah.
Because I spent a lot of time growing up, and this is why I cannot believe we didn't cross paths, but in Wheeling, West Virginia. So right outside where you grew up. So my first concert, my very first concert ever was 1996 at the Wheeling Civic Center, Wheeling, West Virginia. So I think my second one was the Star Gazette Pavilion in Pittsburgh. It was like a Hootie and the Blowfish show. It was one of the outdoor theaters in Pittsburgh. So I grew up in that same area. But your love for country, man, like 90s country came up, and that whole area was very rich on music festivals. And that's something you kind of started going to young, right? You started kind of doing the whole music festival scene, or?
Yeah. So, like in terms of like concerts, I definitely started more in the rock scene. So when I was in like grade school and high school, I had some shows. So there was a local band in Pittsburgh called the Clarks, and they were a rock band. So we would see them from a young, early age, and they were more regional. They got some national coverage, but we grew up with them in town. In terms of country music, when I really got into the hardcore country scene was kind of that. I got back into it after college with like Zach Brown's first album.
Okay.
That Foundation album for me was like what really drew me back into like really paying attention to country music. And it kind of shed some light on like, okay, if this is happening, what am I missing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that album was out when you realize that album was out for so long before anybody heard of it, you know, and heard of any of those songs. You were like, wow, how did this go missing? Right. Yeah, man, fantastic album. Some of my formative, you know,
did I have a Sycamore
experiences of like super fandom?
I think that was Sycamore and Chicken, right?
Yeah, Sycamore and Chicken was on there. Of course, Chicken Fried. You know what I mean? But
I love that song.
One of those things where it's just like every song on that album had something to it, right? And I think that's one of the things that if you're talking about country music, the country music does well, right? Like specifically in an album, there's B-sides that mean more to people than the singles, you know? And I think you probably relate to that with like Eric Church songs, right?
Yeah,
like,
dude.
I think that's can be said for a lot of artists.
Yeah, I mean, some of the best songs have always been B-sides, and still to this day, I mean, because you listen to those songs, and I mean, that's when you really become a fan of the artist too, I feel, because when you can listen to the whole song, and something that I love about Church, when I listen to him, he always talks about how he doesn't make singles, he makes albums, and I think to me, that makes me more of a fan of an artist is they're making a project out of the whole thing, and I look at music as projects, because I want to hear the first track to the last track, and I'm trying so damn hard right now not to listen to any of these songs that have been out. I think I've listened to 2 or 3 of the new songs off of Church's album, and that's it. And I'm trying so hard. I want to hear the whole thing in a whole, man, because I heard that Bad Mother Trucker. I'm like, I don't like it. Like, I didn't like it because I got to hear it together.
It's kind of out of context.
Yeah. I want to hear. He always plays one song into another. So, and it was kind of like Zach Brown, I felt he did a lot like that too. And he even molded himself more into the old Jekyll and Hyde thing where he would do that with albums and make them projects. So I'm a project guy, I guess.
Yeah.
But early on.
I get it. And
go ahead.
No, yeah, like I totally agree with that. It's strange how culture is changing. Some fans like us who crave that, right? Like, so when you get that piece of it, like you're talking about a whole album, it's almost more meaningful when you get that whole project, you know, as opposed to getting a collection of singles.
I love Chris Johnson's pictures change every week with Facebook. So I always scary stuff because every week he has a different funny picture. I think this.
Well, he's always getting blocked on there. Yeah,
exactly. It's always
he's trying to dodge him.
I think he's like the blog site's worst enemy out there sometimes, and biggest fan. They love seeing his name pop up. But dude, so back in the day when you started going to like country concerts, did you ever go to Jamboree in the Hills? Being that close?
Dude, I haven't. So when I started going to festivals, we actually passed by Jamboree on the Hills on purpose so that we wouldn't know that many people.
See, that's where I started I think I went to Jamboree one time because I knew Joe Zellick real well and I got to know him from the whole area and he just blew up. But so you guys just went to country concert then.
Yeah, man. We went right past Jamboree in the Hills, drove an extra 3 hours and went to country concert in Fort Laramie, Ohio. And we were at that festival 9 years in a row until last year for the first year that it didn't happen. There's been plenty of years where we said we're never going back because we were all too broken. But we always make after a few weeks that always wears off, you know.
I was like that with Country Thunder. That's where I used to always go to Country Thunder here in Wisconsin. And like every year I was like, I'm not going next year. Screw this. I'm not going next year. Finally, one year I went from general camping to preferred camping. And I'm like, okay, I'll go a couple more years because it'll be a little bit less rowdy then. But I always found my way back to the general camping and had fun. So when you were doing
that's where we live for sure.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. I still have a picture of me like on a random couch in the middle of some woods at Country Thunder. I'm like, where did this couch come from? You find the most random stuff up there. Always. And it's probably stuff you brought.
Yeah.
Did you guys always have
man, it's what's that?
What was your setup like at your music festivals? Like your first couple of music festivals you went, I mean, I'm sure your campsite was probably one of the ultimate party zones. What was your features did you have?
Yeah, so we've had plenty of different things, but so the first year we went, I remember not bringing like a blanket with me because I'm like, it's 75 degrees out. Like, what do I need a blanket for, you know? And then, yeah, you get in the blanket, and I was sharing a tent with my buddy, and I was like, dude, can I come share that blanket with you? we laid back to back on an air mattress, sharing one blanket.
You know what it is? You're out in the sun all day getting sunburned, and at nighttime you're freezing your ass off.
Exactly.
Sunburned from all day and all the day drinking. Yeah, man.
It gets cold at night. It gets so cold.
So
I never made that mistake again.
What made you print Rowdy Gentlemen of Leisure on a koozie? What was your what was behind it? What was the thought process of that whole thing?
So we had like a group chat, right? Like it was on Facebook Messenger for a long time. And basically we would discuss like, you know, the details of the festival, who was bringing what, who all was coming, things like that. And it became more than that. It became a place to go when you needed a lift. You know, it became a place to go when you had good news. You know, it became another subset of friends and then eventually family, you know. So, and from that one festival year that we went to, it started, hey, let's get together. I'm going to be back in town. We had friends from, you know, from all over the country, North Carolina, all over different places. So somewhere in that group chat, someone said Gentlemen of Leisure. And I was like, man, that's great. I think it was my buddy Dave, who is our chef when we go to festivals. We could not do country concert without Dave. He makes sure all of us don't die.
That's
with
awesome.
The supplying of water, but also, you know, making sure we are actually fed and not just eating beef jerky and pizza in the venue.
Hey, that's always a good way to go, though.
Yeah, not saying that we don't eat a lot of beef jerky and pizza in the venue. We definitely do. But Dave had kept us alive for plenty of years. There had been plenty of times where Dave would throw me a bottle of water and say, Nick, I need you to consume this entire bottle of water before you do anything else, right? So he's one of the patron saints of Raised Rowdy and of my life in general. But yeah, the first time that we ever put anything on that was we made those koozies. Well, you know, those are the Raised Rowdy ones you have on screen, but we made ones that you'd showed earlier that said Rowdy Gentlemen of Leisure. So when we heard Rowdy Gentlemen, we were like, okay, that needs something. You know what I mean? Like, it's not exactly right. So we added that Rowdy to it. And then we had been come to know from that as the Rowdies. Like our collection of crews, people would call us the Rowdies. They'd be like, oh, we're going over to party with the Rowdies. So that kind of stuck from there. And we'll get there later. But yeah. So then we printed those koozies out just to give away at country concert, just to like people, right? We had like a prize wheel that had like drink this, do that, things like that. And then that ended up turning into like, here's a koozie, here's t-shirts, you know what I mean? And we made our original logo we had designed was a shotgunned beer can. And it said Rowdy Gentlemen of Leisure on it. And we put them on t-shirts and we went all warm at the same day into the festival. And people were like, man, where'd you get that? I want to buy one of those t-shirts. And we're like, nah, dude, we made like 24 of these. Like, that's not a thing, you know? Like, we just made them for us. They're not for sale. Yeah. But we had printed 200 koozies. So we would give out the koozies. And then we had some meet and greets, right? Because, you know, we're going to so many shows. We'd apply and go to meet and greets. And, like, so we ended up giving koozies to some artists, guys like John Party. And when we gave one to John Party, we were like, hey, make sure you give one of these to Terry Lee Palmer. And he was like, all right, cool. I'll definitely make sure Terry gets one. All right. And then we saw Terry using it in a photo weeks later. Nice. Right. And then same thing happened with the Cadillac 3. We gave them to all three of the boys, and the one was Tennessee Orange. Mm-hmm. Jaron used that on stage for like a good long time. And then he'd use it on the bus.
It's all about the marketing.
And then we had friends that would end up on their bus and we're like, hey, man, we saw your freaking koozies on the bus. The boys were using them. You know what I mean? So kind of from there, just ended up like my business partner, the guy that owns Raised Rowdy with me, Jacob, was like, dude, this is a thing. Your passion for music is a thing. We need to figure out how we can formalize this and make it so that it's something that you can do with your life, you know, as opposed to just a hobby. Yeah. Man, you got some old pictures of me.
I was having some fun, man. Kind of like what led me to this whole thing. Like I'm so passionate about music, man, and music just ran through my blood ever since I was a young kid. And I'm like, I got to do something. I want to do something with music. And I mean, And that's why I was like, I'm just going to interview my friends. Just have a podcast where I interview fellow church fans. And then that's why I did almost the first season. Then COVID started happening and started talking with other artists. I had like Tucker Bethard and Jonathan Singleton. They're like, hey, we'd come on your show. I was like, really? I was like, oh, shit. Okay, let's do this. And then just kind of took off from there, man. I'm having a blast doing it. And it's cool because a lot of the times when I research my show or for my show, I'm always listening to your show and listening to past guests that you've had, and I always like listening to past podcasts, so I know what not to talk to the artist about. Because if I'm a fan of an artist, I already know their most wanted stuff, or like what they talk about. I've already heard their interviews.
Yeah,
so I want to dig a little deeper, and that's kind of why I kind of listen to those and what not to do. And I see that a lot with you too. You try to dig a little deeper with artists on your interviews. Now, does that kind of go back to you being a fan and hearing these radio interviews and the same shit asked over and over again, and you're always thinking, man, dude, I wish I would have known this about that person, or what about this time? Do you think that?
Yeah, I think when I'm thinking about things, there's two audiences, right? So there's someone that knows about that artist very well, right? And then there's people that are brand new to that artist. So I try to do a mix of those things where I'm covering things that if someone didn't know this person at all, that they would gain some information that would help them learn about who they are. But I also want to give them, like you're saying, some details that they might not get if they had listened to other things. I also try to do that even more so in print interviews. Like if I'm doing print interviews, it's one of those things where you basically what's out there in the world. Right. So like one of our first early interviews was like print interviews was Jonathan Singleton, who you're a fan of. I'm a crazy big fan of, and I've gotten to do a podcast with him as well, which again was like kind of like a pinch me moment,
Oh yeah.
So, in doing that, it's like, okay, let's talk your story, but then also let's talk about some things. Part of the community that we've built is there's a lot of artists that pay attention to what we do. Right. Yeah. There's a lot of up and coming artists that are kind of looking to our podcast and are looking to our platform to kind of help them try to gain knowledge in their journey. So I get hit up by artists or like, up and coming musicians that are like, man, I listen to all your podcasts, and I get nuggets from them. Yeah. So part of what I try to do, and I've been even more recently trying to do, is getting some bits of information that are helpful to fans, but also helpful to an artist that's on their journey, Yeah. And that's been something that I've been focusing on. We've had some folks on that have been, rising up on TikTok, and I talked to them about how that's come to be. If there's anything specific they've done, any advice they have. When you're in the room with a guy like Singleton, you can ask for advice on songwriting. What's the way to do that? If you're talking to any artist, it's like, how did you meet your friends, right? Like your crew of awesome musicians that you're friends with, like how did that come to be? And I think those stories are life stories, but they can definitely help an artist or just a fan that is knowledgeable and thirsting for knowledge about, the music industry, about how things work and about their favorite artists.
Yeah. I agree. You mentioned like TikTok too, and that's something I do. Like I'll sit there and I'll go through TikTok every now and then. I do it just looking for guests. I like to do every now and then have a mental health person on. And actually, next season, I think kicking off, I'm have a guy that's I found on TikTok that has over a million followers, and it's just somebody that I watch in my everyday life. And I'm like, hey, if I watch this guy, I'm sure other people that watch the show would like to hear it too. And that's something that I kind of go through with that on TikTok too. And it's kind of cool because I listened to a lot of yours. Like you just had Lily Rose on. That's one of my favorite you did. Because she just blew up too on that. And it's crazy to see, like you see these TikTok stars and how this one song could go number one just because of an app.
Yeah. And we actually did a podcast with Trey Lewis that didn't take, which I was very upset about. But we were working on new equipment that I hadn't used before. And it's interesting to see, like we did that right before everything took off. And now like the world's exploded for him. So I was out and got to see his show this weekend. And it's crazy to see the amount of development that have happened in such a short span of time.
Oh, yeah. Because
it's crazy to see how a platform like TikTok equates to real music purchases. It equates to likes and follows on other musical platforms.
Mhm.
It equates to streams on your catalog, not just the song that just came out.
Yeah.
So it's been a, you know, eye-opening to me to see a platform like that have so much traction for artists.
Yeah.
And to see the things that are working, which, like, the things that are working are great songs that hit you in the heart, right? Stuff that's fun or funny.
Now. I don't know if they hit you in the heart.
Well, stuff that's fun or funny, right?
Yeah.
That stuff's working. Priscilla Block with Thick Thighs,
Dude, yeah.
Trey Lewis with, you know, Dick Down in Dallas. And but the other thing that's working is great voices, right?
Yep.
So there's artists like guys like Josh Kaiser's starting to have a come up on there. Priscilla Block was big on there with one of my favorite female voices.
Yeah.
One of her friends, Taylor Austin Dye, is on the come up on there. So it's cool to see like the things that are working on there.
And Lily Rose with that song "Villain." I mean, that was huge.
Man, what a great song!
Dude, I probably listen to it at least 2 times a day. I mean, just running around the house.
I told her when I had her on, I was like, "Man, I'll tell you what. Like, you're going to have this song in a Marvel movie,
Yeah,
right? Like, it's going to happen. You know, if you want it to happen, it's going to happen. You know,
bring it up.
And it's cool to get all those different aspects.
Yep. So just kind of, this is sidetrack real quick before we get back. Speaking of Trey Lewis, I want to ask you just from like one fan to another, do you think that song is going to hurt him or help? I mean, I know it helps him now, but down the road when it comes to, and I don't want to compare it, but kind of like Eric Church with Two Pink Lines. So back in the day, Sinners Like Me came out. He puts out a song that totally went against everything that Nashville wanted him to do. And he put it out there, and he probably pissed off a lot of people as a single, and Nashville kind of shied away from Church back in the day. Do you think the same might happen now with Trey Lewis in that song? Or do you think this is going to kind of, I mean, with the sales that helped them, but do you think on the business side of things with Nashville?
So if you talk to Trey, and we did talk to Trey, and I do talk to Trey because he's someone that, you know, I've gotten to know pretty well since moving to town, even before all of this stuff happened, right?
Yeah.
Trey had been playing Tin Roofs and playing that Tin Roof tour and playing 4-hour cover sets, you know, for X amount of time. So when he heard that song and he heard that melody, and he heard what it was about, and he knew none of his friends that wrote it were interested in putting it out, and that no one other than the people around his campfire were probably ever going to hear it, he said, you know what, man, I know I'm probably going to have to play this song every day for the rest of my life if I put it out. But if no one else wants to cut this song, I'll cut it. He's like, I've been putting out music, and, you know, I'm paraphrasing here, but I've been putting out music for years and not many folks cared.
Yeah.
So, you know, if this is a song that can help me on my journey, and man, here's the thing. He goes from 4-hour cover gigs in venues with 30 to 50 people there, just playing sold out shows and whatever the cap is at the local restrictions.
Yeah.
And he's going from playing a 4-hour cover band set to playing as many originals in his set as he wants and playing for an hour and 15 minutes or an hour and a half.
It's badass he can do that now.
Like, he's living his dream, man. And does he have to sing a song about dicks and buttholes once a night? He sure does. But when he does, every fucking phone in that place is up in the air recording it. Because that song is more than just a song to people. It's an emotion. It's a laugh.
I don't think I can say this, but I've never heard this song yet. So.
Yeah, I'm okay. I just might have to hear that just for the.
Man, and Trey isn't just that song, right? So like that, if you follow Trey, like we premiered music videos for Trey. We've done articles about Trey. He's had videos on our platform that he recorded with our guy Trey Bonner that was, you know, writing for us for a while and does video content for Trey. He has really freaking good songs, but he also is a funny guy. So he has other songs that you're going to hear that are not that song, but are funny and are humorous, right? And I think it's going to be a good segue to get you to the other songs that have more heart and more meaning behind them. You know,
it's like
you'll always think of Eric Church. And you'll always think of songs like, you know, I don't know. Gosh, like, what do you think the most iconic one is? Maybe Drink a Little Drink, Smoke a Little Smoke is one of them, right? So if you're talking about that, does Eric like to play that every tour? Maybe not. I don't know. You know what I mean? But or every show, like
it's Springsteen. I think it's
Springsteen. Does he like playing Springsteen every show? I don't know the answer to that. But I'm sure eventually, if he was playing it every show every week, he would get tired of playing it. So I'm sure Trey eventually will get tired of playing it. But I'll tell you, he's not right now, man. He's happy that he has it in his life, and he's happy that his friends that wrote it let him cut it.
Can you imagine Garth singing "Friends in Low Places," dude? How many times he sang that song? I'm sure
Garth realizes that "Friends in Low Places" is part of why he gets to play 6 sold-out shows back to back to back to back to back.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
But I like the point you made about how nobody was listening to his music. I mean, his songwriting stuff. I mean, Trey Lewis has some amazing stuff, and no one was listening to it until this song took off. And it reminds me, and I think the same story was Wheeler Walker Jr. did. If I remember right, I think he was a serious artist in Nashville, putting out really good music, and nobody was paying attention to it or listening to it until he started singing about what he was singing.
He wasn't. No, that's a little backwards. He was actually he's actually a studio comedian. So he's a stand-up comedian, skit guy. But his that's a parody on country music in 2 ways.
Yeah.
Right. He talks crap on like the things that he didn't like in country music, but he's also making fun of the people that are so traditionalist that they're, not open to anything else that's out there. He kind of made fun of both of them at the same time.
Yep.
Dude, you think Rodney Carrington is interested in playing Show Them to Me every time he goes on stage? Probably not.
No, right? 300-pound guy gets up.
Yeah, but that's what brought those people to his shows for years.
Yep.
Right. And I think if you have $1 million check in the bank and you're playing with your friends and writing songs with your friends and you're getting to tour venues that you never thought you'd maybe get to play, you'll play Dick Down in Dallas as many times as they ask you to, man. I would. I sure would.
Hell yeah. So going back, we totally got derailed on the train of Dick Down in Dallas there for a minute. But going back to just the brand of Raised Rowdy, when you first started going into it, you went with just the microphone logo, which is an amazing logo, by the way, just because it's simple, man. I love it. Simple, stands out. But building that, and you started from a koozie, and now it goes into T-shirts and everything else. What made you start branding this and really just putting it out there?
Yeah, man. So we saw with passionate people behind things and stuff that people liked, that there was a draw to it, right? So when we were at a crowd, you see me in that RGOL shirt at that Eric Church fan club show before I was able to grow a beard. Grow a little better one now. You see that there was people that were into it. But what they're really into is the same things that we're into. We're into like great country music. We're into having good times with our friends. We're into being passionate about new stuff, right? And we realized that there was folks out there that felt the same way. We found them at concerts. I called a lot of them my friends, And then through Raised Rowdy, since we were called the Rowdies, I wanted to keep that. So when we were brainstorming names, we were just spitballing things, right? And then, Raised Rowdy came up. I think actually my business partner's wife said Rowdy Raised, and he was like Raised Rowdy. And as soon as he sent that to me, I knew he had it.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, that's it. And then the logo that you see there, we had a design contest. So we had a design contest on a website where there's a large collection of graphic designers. And we basically said, hey, please give us your best representation. And we said, like, here's the things: musical instruments, party items. We said like mason jars, whiskey jugs, right? But we said we would prefer the logo to use negative space, right? Which it does. You see that on here.
Yeah.
So, and I said, I want it to be something that is simple and iconic. Something that when you see it, you know what it is, but when you see it, it's very clean and easy on the eye. And when we saw this logo, we basically knew we had it too.
Oh, dude.
So we caught lightning in a bottle, in my opinion, with the name as well as in the actual logo twice.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've had guys like Neil Mason be like, man, did you trademark that yet? And I was like, yeah, man. He's like, good, because it's really good. He's like, I don't know how you guys caught the logo and the name, but they're both great.
Yeah, dude.
So it's good to hear amazing guys like him that, is a fantastic artist, great songwriter, and, to be impressed by what we had,
Yeah, dude. And it's awesome the way it came out and the way you're put the whole branding out. And now it went into podcast, radio show, dude. You're doing so much now. And I just love it. I mean, because it started with the website. So you started with the website and to start writing up the kind of like a blog site. And then you moved into more of the merch, having just different t-shirts and the front rower don't go sayings and just different sayings. And I love that about it because I mean, it's us. I mean, it's the people that love going to shows. I mean, hell, I'm the one that goes out and stands out there for hours camping out just to get front row, man, dude. So I love that stuff. And I mean, because you really, and I think that's why I kind of was drawn to you at first and like the whole Raised Rowdy scene, because you were a fan speaking for the fans. Like you were giving us a voice, like different fans. And I still think like, other than like future up and coming country music stars, like how or singers, like they will reach out to you every now and then and try to get you to, I don't even know on your personal page, like, do not send me shit here no more. I got stuff.
Yeah. I try to separate as much as I can my personal pleasure life and Raised Rowdy, right? Because it gets very easy for those to intertwine.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, someone's going to get mad at you for when someone messages you at 2 a.m. trying to get you to cover their music on your personal Facebook page that pops up a sound while I'm sleeping, ready to get up for my day job at 5:30 in the morning, it can get frustrating. You know,
artists don't
I have the notifications turned off on my business stuff until I wake back up,
Yeah.
But if someone wants to get a hold of me on my personal page, it's a little easier, but it also makes me not want to cover your stuff,
Yeah.
If you send it at 2 a.m. on a weeknight, I'm probably not going to cover your stuff.
Your day job while they're getting off at the bar.
Yeah. But yeah, man, we have a lot of things that are going on right now, right? And like you said, the podcast, we just started a brand new writers round at Live Oak, one Sunday a month, and we have some crazy takeovers. So we are having 2 a month in February and in March.
Are you going to do it?
I can't talk about those yet, but
are you still going to do it February 28th? Are you still going to do one?
We're having one February 21st, February 28th, March 21st, March 28th.
The 28th, I think I want to try to be that one. I got to go down.
That's going to be a good one.
All right. I got to go to Lynchburg to pick up the Eric Church barrel from the Christmas trees. It was like $300 to ship it. And a buddy of mine, we both got one. And I'm like, that's $600 to ship 2 barrels. We could take the money and just drive down to Lynchburg for a day and whatever. So I think we're going to leave on a Sunday morning, come back on Monday. But I think that's going to be the night.
Come on down, man.
Yeah, I want to come and see the show, man. It's been a while since I've had some live music. So
that's going to be our first takeover. And when it's announced, it's going to be pretty exciting.
Hell yeah, man. I cannot wait. So you guys, like I said, you guys started with the website and you went to the podcast after that, right? And then slowly started building. So with this radio show, how cool is it to still be on the air back in your hometown now that you're living in Nashville?
Man, it's something that if you would have told me that I would have had a radio show 5 years ago, I would have laughed at you and told you were an idiot, because when I started the radio show, I had no idea how to make a radio show. I still kind of don't. But I do enough where, it works. It's crazy in my hometown to see folks that I at one time didn't know or just knew through concerts that are now embracing what we're doing. Right.
Mm-hmm.
When it started, all of our friends were wearing shirts. Right. When we were at the Cadillac 3 show at Jurgles and there's 35 people wearing Raised Rowdy shirts all in a collection, I kind of knew we had something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
And it brings so much joy to me to help people find other people that are like them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? To help find other people that are just as passionate about music as they are. Some of the people that I've met through Raised Rowdy and through music in general are my best friends.
Oh, yeah.
Some people that I wouldn't have met in person ever if it wasn't for it.
I know I'm really close too, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Dave Canavan out there in Chicago, who I met, through our mutual admiration for Ashley McBride's music, and then have gotten to be good friends with. Katie, who you're familiar with, who's a very big Eric Church fan, got to be very good friends with as well. She's on here talking to us as well. And it's just one of those things where it connects people, right? Like you say, music and melodies, connecting music and melodies, man. It's connecting people with folks that are the same people. They just don't know it yet,
Music brings everybody together. That's why I love how Eric was running the whole thing. It's more than just music, because your love started. Everything started at music festivals. You started the whole rowdy thing started back there. You started going to these festivals. You started meeting people that were like-minded fans. You're like, how can I take this love and passion and just scream it? Just tell everybody, hey, this is what I love to do. This is what I want to do and who I want to be. And you're just so damn passionate about it. And I love it, because that's what's kind of like what trickled down with this show too, because I got to tell people what I'm listening to, what I love, because I listen to it. There's a lot of people. I don't want to say there's a lot. I could probably count them on two hands of the people that I listen to for new music. You're definitely one of them. Chris Johnson, Jeff Brown, they're in the chats. I have a little circle that, whenever you guys say, hey, listen to this guy, that's the person I'm going to go and check out, because I know you guys have done your research, and I love it because you broke a few artists. Who do you think, though, the biggest artist that was kind of a no-namer that came to Raised Rowdy that is probably one of the biggest artists you have now? Who would you say? Or that's still related?
Well, it's hard to say that, man, because I would tell you the person that we saw grow the most is probably Riley Green, right?
Okay.
So, and we had meetings with labels after Riley signed that said, how does a guy from Pittsburgh know more at the time when we were trying to sign Riley Green, know more about Riley Green than the 6 people that I pay to do this job, which is an A&R, right? Yeah. So we've made some correct guesses on people that we think are stars.
Yeah.
And the things that in my head make a country music artist have the ability to be a star, I'm not saying they necessarily will, because there's so much that could cause that, but it's a dynamic voice that when you hear it, it's them.
Yep.
It's a look or a persona that is 100% them, that is authentic to them. It can be a little cheesy. What I always tell people is I say, take your personality and turn it from the 6 or 7 that you're at up 2 points, right? Like accentuate who you are, but still be who you are, And then it's the songs, man. You can't fake the songs.
No.
If you're not writing them yourself, you better have friends that write them for you,
Well,
but
glorified
the songs, you can't get away from that.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, people talk about people like Kenny Chesney, Tim McGraw. I know they're amazing. Jason Aldean, they're really good. They don't write a lot of their stuff, but I know they're close to the process. They look at their buddies for songs and stuff like that. And I know, like when I talked to Rob Ribbleford a couple weeks ago, he told Luke Combs he's a glorified karaoke singer pretty much when they first met. And I see a lot of artists but for me, I'm a fan of the singer-songwriter, man. I dig down and I look for it, which speaking of very sad that finally Chris Christopherson announced that he was retiring from the road. I knew it was coming. It had shit, dude. He's 84 years old, so he's gonna be like Willie. He's just gonna fall over on stage one day. But I'm a fan of Chris Christopherson. He was not a good singer at all. He was a terrible singer, but he's still my favorite. Yeah, no, he's one of my favorite artists, man, because the way he delivers the song, and that's what I look for in an artist is the delivery. Like how you're saying, I want to see how the delivery comes out and how I can connect this as a person. And that's why I fell in love with church, man. There wasn't a song I could listen to. I kind of didn't put myself in those shoes. Or like a couple of them are like, damn, is this guy singing about me? Is this, is he spying on my life or something? And I'm sure being a fan, you've had a lot of artists.
I've actually heard podcasts that had people say, hey, even Eric Church cut outside songs.
Well, dude, on the new album, there's like two or three he cut that he didn't even write. So and I know sticking in a country song.
If you can deliver it, if it means something to you and you can deliver it in a way that means something to someone else, and it's a song that has meaning, I don't have a problem with cutting someone else's songs.
Exactly, dude.
In the grand scheme of the world, course I'd prefer it to be that person's story because it's easier to get there, right? But if that song, Anywhere But Mine by Kenny Chesney, right? That song hits you in the heart no matter who wrote it. You know, there's songs like that that an artist gets to present to the world, even if it's not theirs, you know, and I'm fine with that as long as that song has meaning to it, you know.
What Hurts the Most, man, is one of my favorite Jeffrey Steele songs. Rascal Flatts done it. Aaron Lewis has done it. I mean, so many artists. Speaking of Aaron Lewis, Granddaddy's Gun, man, and where was that? Rhett Akins song, I think. Or I forgot who originally did that. I think it was Rhett. But so many different artists will sing like 2 or 3 different songs, or the same song 2 or 3 different times. I like that sometimes because you're getting different takes on it and different parts. So I love it, man.
That used to be a thing that happened all the time. There was country standards, you know? So like that song got sang by 100 different artists and cut on records by a lot of different artists. If a song's powerful enough, a different take on it can be meaningful and can be powerful, you know?
One of my favorite things talking about songs being cut by different artists, and I think I mentioned this before. It was Alison Krauss recorded When You Say Nothing at All, and Keith Whitley had it as well. And then after Keith Whitley died, someone did a mashup of the two singing it. You can still find it somewhere on YouTube or whatever, but dude, they made a duet out of it. It's such badass. And it's probably one of the coolest duets I ever heard, and they never did it live together.
Yeah.
Jeff Brown's talking about Cover Me Up. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I saw somebody the other day in the music industry was bitching about, someone said Morgan Wallen singing Cover Me Up was the best version they ever heard. They said, if you think that's the best version of Cover Me Up, you got a problem.
Yeah, man, but that opened that song up to a whole generation of people that never heard Southeastern.
They love it. Yep.
And if even 1% of those people go back and look at Jason Isbell's album and cry the way I cried the first time I listened to Southeastern, the world's a better place for that song. The world,
dude. What's the song by Travis Meadows did, and then Jake Owen, Can't Always Get, or we always get what we ain't got, or what we ain't got. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah,
that song, dude. That's another one. Like when you hear Travis Meadows sing it, dude, you lose. I mean, I'm done. I'm done when I heard Meadows song, dude.
He's one of those guys that when you hear his inflection on a song can just rip your heart out just with that.
Killing Uncle Buzzy. That album was this God.
When you hear Travis Meadows sing a song, it sings directly to your soul instead of to your ears, you know?
I agree. All right, man. Well, we got to pay the bills real quick before we move into our next segment. So let me play this little thing real quick. Go ahead, man.
Absolutely.
This episode is powered by Poddex. Poddex are unique interview questions and episode starting prompts in the palm of your hand. So whether you're a new podcaster or existing broadcaster looking to grow your audience and have more meaningful conversations, you're going to want to check out Poddex. Now, if you want to get 10% off your order right now, you can go to poddex.com and type in coupon code. What's the code?
Fast on Memphis.
Yes, that's the code. Check out poddex.com. Take your podcast to the next level.
So when they first started sponsoring me, I started reading all of that on air. Like the first 2 episodes, I was like, no, I'm not doing this. They sent the audio version of that. I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to play that.
We're going to do that once really well. Yeah.
I'm like, I am not reading this. Like I had it in my show notes. I'm like, no, that's way too much. Yeah, man, it's a really cool little thing that I started doing. It's a Poddex. There's little cards that bring up really cool questions. I'll go through them every week. And I drew 2 cards earlier today. The first question I want to ask you is, what's the longest you've ever waited in line for something, and what was it? Of course, when I saw this card, I had to bring it up for you.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's definitely a concert. I've waited 3+ hours for shows before. You know, I've never done the overnights like I know a lot of the folks that are here in the crowd have done. But I've definitely waited 3+ hours to get into a concert before.
Dude, that's crazy.
Having said that, I've probably waited in line for Black Friday a few times when I was younger too. But
I don't know if
I worked in retail after that and stopped doing so.
I don't know if I ever did Black Friday. Like if I ever waited for Black Friday or not. I don't know if I ever did.
We're both in cold areas, so that's not a fun time to be outside.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't think I ever really waited. I mean, well, now concerts, so it doesn't matter. I remember February when Church did The Outsiders, when he did the 9 shows in 3 days or whatever. He did Joe's Bar. And I got there at like 6 a.m. He wasn't playing until 10 at night. It was like the first week of February in Chicago, dude. And like, it was funny because I know Ed real well that runs Joe's. He's like, okay, we're going to do something different. He's like, we're going to come out, and he numbered everybody's ticket, and they gave everybody a wristband and numbered like the first like 30 people with a wristband. And he's like, okay, you guys go and hang out, this and that. He goes, all right, Trevor, just go inside and get warm. That way he knew when they started lining up again, they could line up the first 100 with their numbers on the wristband or whatever, and I'd be all right. I didn't have to wait all day. So it was definitely fun. But yeah, it was, dude, some really cold times. But I mean, I don't know, when you're in line waiting, you just do it, dude, because that's front row or don't go, man.
You become family with the people you're in line with, man.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you always make friends in line, so it's always a good time. So the second card I pulled, have you ever had this can't be happening moment, and what was it? So I'm sure, definitely being with Raised Rowdy, there's been times that you've just maybe at a concert somewhere where you were just had this moment where you had to stand back, like, is this, like, you had to pinch yourself, is this really happening? When was it?
Yeah, I mean, literally all the time. Like, literally all the time. From the first time that someone wore a Raised Rowdy hat when I didn't know who they were. The first time that someone wore a Raised Rowdy hat on the Ryman stage. The first time I saw someone wear a Raised Rowdy hat on a stage at a venue I was at. You know what I mean? Like, the first time that someone ran into someone wearing our gear in a town where they didn't know who the person was. When I got to interview Jonathan Singleton, you know, like when people that I thought of as icons in the industry said yes to doing things with us. Like a podcast or an email interview. I mean, literally all the time. Ashley McBride, when we were at country concert, and her whole crew came over and played freaking Flip Cup with us at our campsite. You know what I mean? Like, like literally mind-blowing experiences that, like, I, as they were happening, just thought, this isn't happening. You know?
And all you are is
literally. That's what keeps me working how I work.
Yeah. And I mean, like I was saying, all you are is just a fan that wants people to hear some damn good music. And in return, you're getting some really cool opportunities to do some really cool things. And that's why I've told people in the past, they're like, well, how do you get so lucky to like meet this person or that person? I'm like, I don't think it was really luck. It was just, I was just so passionate, just dedicated, man. I just never stopped going. I just always wanted to go and support the next song that I loved or the next artist I loved. I haven't stopped since I've been a teenager. I mean, I remember in the 90s, it was Billy Ray Cyrus and Kid Rock. I was following them around every show I could go to. And the funniest thing when I was doing it is like Billy Ray Cyrus, guitar player, Michael Joe, and I were really good friends when I had blonde hair, earrings, all this stuff. And all of a sudden I turn around and Jeff Hyde one time had to take off. This was years ago from the church band. And there's Michael Joe playing mandolin and banjo for Eric Church. And then the night I got my guitar, I got the Hummingbird. I turn around and look, and there's Michael Joe tuning Eric Church's guitars because he's now Eric Church's personal guitar player or guitar guy. And I'm like, talk about a full circle moment is watching Billy Ray Cyrus's guitar player now being Eric Church's personal guitar tech. And it's just so odd, like, to see it all go around. And it's just in the music industry, that's what you see. But it's just like, I've been so passionate about different artists over the time. I just want people to know about them. I mean, right now I'm definitely Tucker Beathard. I mean, that's my next one that I think is going to blow up, dude. His songwriting and passion is just amazing. So,
yeah, I like Tucker a lot.
Oh yeah, dude.
It's one of those things where, like, people always say luck. Winning meet and greets isn't luck. It's applying for meet and greets and being at more shows than everyone else. You know what I mean? It's knowing who the radio people are in your local town, right? Yeah. Like, it's not luck. Luck, it's when people say someone's lucky, oftentimes that person has put them in a position to be lucky, right? The reason Ashley McBride came over and partied with us was because she saw me working my nuts off and doing good work for her and people that she thought deserved help.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's why that stuff happens.
I swear you and I are from the same mold, man. Because it's the same thing with with the Hummingbird, dude. It's like, everybody's like, oh, you're so lucky you got Church's guitar. I'm like, do you know how many shows? I mean, I went to 100 shows, but how much money, how much traveling, how much went into it? I mean, that was just him saying, dude, thank you. thank you for, I mean, it wasn't, I mean, yeah, it was a cool as hell moment. It was, but that was him just saying, dude, thank you for being so passionate. And that's the way I looked at it because, and I still to this day, dude, he could never acknowledge me another day in my life. I don't care. I'm still going to be at a church show, still going to be front row, still going to be having a blast, man, because it's not about the little acknowledgments I get here and there, the different things. Those are cool moments, but it's more about the music, man. I'm just passionate about that damn music. And I want someone else to hear it. And I keep wanting to promote it, man. So, all right.
I agree, man.
Go ahead.
Without this music, like, dude, 2020 was tough on me, on everyone that's as passionate about music as we are.
Yeah.
The world shutting down how it did and us not having our thing that made us part of who we are was so tough.
Dude.
So having the little bits and pieces that I still did have from doing this helped me so much, you know?
Oh,
and
yeah,
I'm in such a better headspace now that I'm in Nashville than I was when I was in Pittsburgh. Just because the thing that I did there was travel around to shows. Well, there's no shows to travel to now, you know?
Yeah.
But here, there's still singers, there's still songwriters playing on stages. You know, you have to be seated when you're doing them. There's not a big dance floor. You can't be partying, but the shows are happening, you know, and artists are in town that haven't been in town for years, you know?
Yeah, I know.
And I'm so much fulfilled. I'm so thankful that I've gotten the opportunity to be down here.
They just started opening Chicago back up, and I know Dave's starting to try to get some people back in and stuff. So I cannot wait till
Chris Canterbury coming up.
Yeah, I cannot wait to start getting some music going again. And actually, we're coming down there on the 28th. I'm pretty sure to come see that show that you're going to put together. All right, man. We got a little segment that I want to do real quick. It's called the hot seat. All right, I'm going to ask you 10 questions. Your first cassette tape you ever owned?
Oh, Kid Rock.
Hell yeah. What's your hometown famous for?
My hometown is famous for having substance abuses.
What poster was on your bedroom wall in middle school?
Oh, middle school, man. Gosh, probably something Steeler sports.
Hell yeah. All right. What's the strangest thing you ever seen in the middle of the road?
A dead little baby raccoon.
That's why it's on the shirt. Now, what are you superstitious about?
Oh man, I'm not very superstitious, but I don't know if there's anything that I'm super superstitious about.
What's one thing people buy that you think is a waste of money?
Lawn seats.
Your best Wi-Fi name you've ever seen?
Oh man, my brother's for the longest time was called Chingate, which is an expletive in another language.
Your first band T-shirt you ever owned?
Oh man, Rage Against the Machine something.
Hell yeah. The oddest job you ever took to earn a buck?
During a what?
The oddest job you ever took to earn $1?
Oh man, odd jobs. I worked in a glass factory that my dad worked at for 2 summers. I've had some bus boy. I've had a paper route from the time I was 12 years old. I don't know.
All right, last one. Something that's still on your bucket list. Something that you still want to achieve. Maybe a concert venue you want to go to see a show. Just something you still want to. Something that's still on your bucket list.
Last year I was supposed to get a Key West Songwriters Fest. I hope that happens this year and that I get to attend.
The Mile Zero Fest, dude. Is that one? Yeah, dude.
I'd love to go to that too, man.
Yeah. Oh, dude. I hear you. Well, Nick, I mean, we ran over tonight, which I figured we would because it's so much fun talking.
Guys. Yeah.
Dude, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for helping me set up this entire month with some kick-ass artists. I cannot wait, especially next week, dude. I'm so excited. I never really listened to him before, Styles. I cannot wait to actually really get to know this guy.
You have 3 guys that I think are going to be making big strides here soon on the show coming up, man. And I hope they end up being episodes that do really well for you because all those guys end up being stars.
Hell yeah, man. And that's one thing I want to close out tonight. Who are your 3 guys? Who's your 2021 picks this year?
Oh man. Well, I mean, you have 3 of the guys that I've talked about in the past. So we do a thing called Raised Rowdy Risers, and I didn't do one this year because
I was going to ask you about that. I was looking at pictures. I saw the 2021.
Yeah. I feel like we were giving away free candy to people. So not that I might not do it, but I might do it as the year goes on.
Oh.
So man, a guy whose voice I think is dynamic and his sound is great, Tyler Booth, is a dude that I absolutely love. I think you're going to see Cameron Marlowe go from being someone that you know to being a superstar this year.
Yeah, that's what I was going to know.
And your previous guest that you just had on, Ashlyn Kraft, is going to eventually take over female country music.
Dude, she's gonna be the biggest thing ever, dude. You heard the song "Smoke Weed" yet?
I do not think I've heard that one. No, but I've heard a lot of her stuff, and she has songs in the tank that are very, very good, and she has a voice that a generation of country fans are going to remember and know.
That is going to be the song that everybody's going to hold their phones up to and be taking pictures of when she's singing that in concert. I guarantee that'll be the one that follows her everywhere.
It's funny because I do an after show with some of the artists, and I did not Raised Rowdy, but Rowdy Rob, and he had a song called Granny's Garden.
Granny's Garden. I figured you'd like that one too.
With Cameron Marlowe, and with Cameron Marlowe, which is badass. And then Ashlyn has a song called "I Smoke Weed," which is badass. I was like, you guys just need to do like a 420 EP or something, right? All you guys need to get together and just do like a 420 EP of these songs because there's some badass songs coming out of that.
And it's becoming more, of course, like open about talking about things like that, right? Like
that's my job.
My roommate Joe Partner on his album cover had a bong on it, you know. So there's it's becoming culturally more, not that it's not been mainstream with guys like Willie Nelson, right? But as states like yours legalize that, see the extremely large amount of tax revenue that they can gain from it, right? I think it's becoming more and more appropriate for an artist that has probably been doing that for extended periods of time to now discuss it.
Well, and like I was talking with Ashlyn a little bit, and she brought up she's like, I have extreme anxiety. She's like, I use it for my anxiety, and that's kind of the business I'm in. I work at a dispensary, and I work around medical cannabis all the time, and I hear people talk about that, and it's so weird to say that it now pays for my family's health insurance. I mean, because 20 years ago, you would never have talked about this. Now, the songs, like you said, your roommate has a bong on the cover of his EP and everything, and it's okay now. I mean. Yeah, 20 years ago, 10 years ago.
We are in a very different place than we were when we were kids.
Oh, yeah.
I remember going to San Francisco as a child and seeing someone like rip a pipe on the corner and be like, what is going on? Like, I'm in a different part of the universe, you know? And then, you know, come to current times, and that's something where if you're in Denver or Chicago or, you know, Las Vegas, it isn't uncommon, you know? So it's a very culturally different thing. The world's constantly changing, technology is constantly changing, and what's appropriate and culturally current is definitely changing as well.
Yep. You got to roll with the times, man. I think definitely the Nashville's getting that too. I mean, they're definitely, and I think this new crop of artists that we have coming out is going to be damn. I like the future of Nashville, man. I like the future of country music. I think it's going in the right direction. So I really like what it's doing lately. So, but thanks again.
And I'm stoked to get to highlight some of those, and I'm stoked that you're getting to highlight some of them as well.
It's going to be awesome. So, hey, go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you. It's pretty easy, but go ahead and tell everybody.
Yeah. At Raised Rowdy is all of our handles on everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. I'm at Raised Rowdy Nikki T, and our radio show is at Raised Rowdy Radio. You can find this terrible voice on the radio Sunday nights on Y108, which you can listen to on the radio.com app. You can only listen to it live. It's 8 Central Time until 11 on the radio.com app at Y108. You can hit us up in the DMs. We answer as many as we can. And thank you guys for listening. Listen to me and Aaron talk about music we love, man.
Dude, we could go for another hour.
We sure could.
We could go for so much longer to talk about just like some cool things we got to do and just from music. But thank you for giving us and different fans a voice in music. Thank you for picking out the good artists and really showing us good music. I love your taste of music. But honestly, this, like I said, thank you for being you and being positive and with Raised Rowdy and doing it on a positive note. And when I mean that, not being like any other sites or anything and trying to degrade or share things that shouldn't be shared when they should be shared, I guess, and saying things like that.
Yeah.
You guys are more professional with the music business, and you guys don't care more about numbers as it is respect. And I love it.
Well, man, I think we've built, and it's not just me, man. Like, I think that's a big part of what we have is we've built a crew of people that give a fuck.
Yeah.
And we built a crew of people that realize that we only have so much time. And why are we going to waste our time putting negative things in the world when there's so much stuff that we could talk about positively that deserves our attention, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then also, I don't ever want to be the person that did something that hurt someone, right? And if so, I don't want to do it on a public platform, right?
I agree. I mean, exactly. I mean, because you have a platform that could manipulate something or whatever, because so many people follow you guys, and it could change the look on things. And I'm saying this because I've seen other sites where they've taken things out of context and exploited it to make numbers for themselves. And it's something you have never done. And I love that about you guys. And I respect that about you guys, because you guys are, like you just said, you focus on the positive, you focus on what's true in Nashville, and you put it out there and you do it your way. And it's the way that we all love it because you're doing it the right way, man. So thank you.
I appreciate that, man. I think at the end of the day, I want, when you look back on what our team has built, I want you to think about how the world and how the community has become a better place because we have been a part of it.
Dude, I think you're changing Nashville in a way. I think you're changing country music. I think Raised Rowdy is definitely putting a notch in country music and definitely putting it in a better direction.
And if we can take the needle and move it 1/100%,
yep,
I think we're doing what's right for the community. And being a good member of the community is really what we all want to be.
Hell yeah, man.
And take this from a 30-year plus radio guy. None of us like our voices.
Yeah.
So just do you, man, and do what's great with the music, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, my program director said, "I'm giving you a radio show because you don't sound like a radio guy. So don't try to sound like a radio guy.
Don't try.
That's
Exactly.
That's why I had to bring a radio guy in to help me out.
Yeah,
Yeah, talk about lucky knowing the local radio guy. Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Yep.
man, thank you again for everything you do. And dude, we'll catch up. If not, at the end of this month, hopefully we'll see you on the 28th.
We'll be there, man.
All right.
Come on down.
All right, dude. Take care. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Guys, that was Nick Tressler of Raised Rowdy. Amazing show. God, that was awesome.
Cool guy.
What do you think? Yeah.
Very, very cool guy. Like him a lot. And yeah, he's right. Lightning in the bottle, man, with that logo, with the name, with everything. I mean, it's perfect for what he's doing. Dude, I love it. I mean, yeah. I mean, they put everything together, and his site is really cool. I mean, all the articles that he has, like he said, badass team of writers over there putting things together. And now he's going to start putting stuff like Raised Rowdy on the road, dude. If he starts putting shows together, songwriters, watch out, Nashville. Well, Raised Rowdy Radio alone, I mean, what a great name for a show. Yeah, dude. Oh, truly. I mean, yeah, very impressed. Yeah, everything he does has a good name to it. So, man, you're really liking some of these country guys, huh? I am. You're slowly turning me. I'm breaking the mold over here. Slowly turning me. Yeah, you are. Eventually. Well, now till next week is gonna be an interesting, because I've only listened to a couple of his songs, but it's gonna be fun to dig into this guy next week. So, well, I'll have to watch from the road because I'll actually be down in Texas next week, so I won't be here. We are gonna have a fill-in next week, so we'll see how good she does. She's sitting over here watching tonight, so we'll see how it goes. Yeah, she's got the camera going. She's been recording this most of the night, so she knows when to press buttons. So she knows what buttons I'm pushing. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight on episode 70 with Raised Rowdy founder Nick Tressler. It was amazing hearing Nick's journey. He continues to be dedicated and passionate to the music he loves. I just can't wait to see what Nick and Raised Rowdy is going to do in 2021, because I honestly, I think they're just going to take over everything country music, dude. I mean, he's saying Ashland Craft is going to be the next big thing. He's gonna be the next big publisher in Nashville putting out good music, dude. I mean, I don't know if he's gonna have his own. I don't know what he's gonna do. He's gonna do something.
Watch. Raised Rowdy is gonna have like their own like songwriters or whatever. They're gonna just do something, dude. Oh well. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna see you next week. We're gonna have fun. And same time. See you guys.
The Gainin' Fast on Memphis podcast with Aaron Shriver is brought to you by Arlo Revolution. As we close the book on another chapter, remember, music gives a soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and life to everything. Next week, Aaron connects more melodies and memories with other fans and the artists they love. Thanks for being a part of this musical journey, and we'll see you next time on the Gainin' Fast on Memphis podcast with Aaron Shriver.